Some people are only meant for certain seasons. You don't realize it when it's happening. It just feels normal. You're talking every day, sharing random thoughts, laughing at stuff nobody else would find funny. It feels steady, so you don't even question it. You don't think about endings when something feels woven into your life. Then one day, you notice the space. Not because something went wrong. You just open your phone and there's no message from them. And it used to feel wrong. Now it just feels quiet. Not heavy, just different. There are people who used to be part of your daily rhythm, like background noise you didn't even notice until it was gone. And what messes with you is how natural the change felt. Almost like life adjusted without asking you. You still care, that part stays. You can wish them well and mean it. You can smile when their name comes up. But there's no pull anymore. No urge to reach out just because. It probably feels weird that someone who once felt so close can now feel so far without anything bad happening. No argument, no betrayal, no moment you replay trying to figure out where it all went wrong. Life just kept moving. You changed, they changed, and the versions of you that made sense together slowly faded at the same time. And then guilt starts creeping on you. You start wondering if you're colder now, if you stopped trying, if you're the kind of person who lets people go too easily. You think back on old conversations, trying to spot the shift, like there has to be a reason you missed. But growth doesn't usually make noise. It shows up quietly. One day you just don't fit in the same places anymore. There are people who meet you in a specific headspace, when you were softer, or more lost, or just trying to survive, and they made sense for who you were then. You don't have to stay that version forever, and that can be hard to sit with, because you grew up thinking real connections are supposed to last. If something ends, someone must have failed. Someone didn't care enough. Someone didn't fight hard enough. But some connections aren't meant to last. They're meant to shape you. You ever notice how certain people only make sense in certain memories? Late nights, a specific playlist, a version of you that doesn't exist the same way anymore. And if you tried to bring them into your life now, it would feel off. Like wearing clothes that still technically fit, but don't feel like you anymore. And that feeling can really stick to you, man. Because letting go of people also means letting go of who you were back then. And that version of you feels familiar, even if it doesn't fit. Even if you've grown past it. So you hold on longer than you should. You keep replying, you keep checking in, you keep showing up halfway. Not because it feels right, but because letting go feels like admitting something ended without a clear reason. At some point you have to ask yourself, are you staying connected because it still feels aligned? Or because you're scared of what it says about you if you move on? There's a quiet exhaustion that comes when keeping relationships alive after they've stopped growing. You start editing yourself, explaining yourself, shrinking parts of who you were so things don't feel awkward. You ever walk away from a conversation feeling drained even though nothing bad happened? No argument, no tension, just tired. That's usually a sign someone isn't lining up anymore. Misalignment doesn't always hurt. Sometimes it just weighs on you. And then there's the grief. Not the kind where you fall apart. More like a dull ache that shows up randomly. A song, a place, a memory, and suddenly you realize something's missing. Not gone in a tragic way, but just gone. Sometimes you don't even miss the person. You miss how life felt when they were around. There was less pressure, less responsibility, less weight. And it's easy to confuse missing a feeling with missing a person. But holding on to people doesn't bring that feeling back. It just reminds you it passed. Some because life pulled you in a direction and neither of you noticed right away. And it doesn't make the connection fake. It just means it finished. You don't owe anyone a permanent version of yourself. You don't owe access to every chapter. You don't owe access to every chapter of your life. And you don't need a dramatic ending to justify moving forward. Sometimes the most honest thing you can do is stop reaching. Not out of bitterness, not because you're better than them, just because the connection doesn't reach you the same way anymore. And that's okay. Seasons change without explaining themselves. They don't ask permission, they just move on. And maybe that's the part that's hardest to accept. Some people were never meant to stay together. They were meant to walk with you long enough to get you to the next version of yourself. If you're sitting with that quiet distance right now, that mix of loss and gratitude, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just between seasons. And things always shift from there.